to say this player was a fan favorite wherever he went would be an understatement. A WHA champion, a very dedicated enforcer, protector for WHA and NHL teams. Anytime this guy did the Gordie Howe hat trick, the fans were just bouncing up and down in support of him. Could have easily scored 20 goals a season were he not in the penalty box so often, but he was worth every dollar he was paid. Now today we're going to be talking about the career and the legend of the very well respected and the very, not say forgotten, but people don't talk about him anymore, and I'm going to talk about him today, Curt Brackenbury. Now Curt was a product of that great hockey hotbed, Kapuskasing, Ontario, beautiful community. Now, he looked bigger on skates than what he was, 5'10", 190, played very strong in the left wing. First came to major prominence with the Sudbury Cub Wolves of the NOJHL with 14 points, including 7 goals in 25 games. Now, 72-73, he found himself in all places with the Jersey Devils of the EHL Senior League, where he had 44 points in 68 games in 66 minutes and penalties. 74, a very bizarre year, ladies and gentlemen. He played in Long Island for the NAHL's Cougars, 194 minutes and penalties. That's where he's getting reputation. Good playoff run with 5 goals in 17 games. Played with the Des Moines Capitals with an O of the IHL, 6 points in 13 games, and saw his first major pro action with the Chicago Cougars of the WHA with 1 assist in a 4-game stint. Now, 74-75, again, another interesting year. He played with the Hampton Gulls of the SJHL and put up some really good numbers. In 59 combined regular season playoff games, he had 53 points, 24 goals, 29 assists for 43 points, and 260 minutes and penalties. Take note of that. Now, he played with the Fighting Saints that year as well, played in their playoffs after Hampton's playoff wrapped up. 7 games in a regular season, 22 minutes and penalties, but 59 minutes and penalties in 12 playoff games, and 2 assists. Now, this was the big breakthrough year the next year. Minnesota basically decided to keep him in that season. 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points with 255 minutes of penalties. After Minnesota got into roster problems, he found himself in Quebec. 4 goals and 5 assists for 9 points in 15 games with an astonishing 110 minutes and penalties in those 15 games. So 7 minutes a game. Now, 77, the big year, of course, where everybody was thinking Quebec was ready to win the AFCO Cup. And that's what he did, knocking off Winnipeg in 7 games. Now, 77 games, 16 goals, 13 assists for 29 points, much less minutes and penalties. He was given playing more of a skill game. But in the playoffs, he opened out again, 8 points in 17 games, 51 minutes and penalties. So, got the AFCO Cup ring. 78, mostly an injury-riddled season, regular season, 13 points in 33 games, but back in the playoffs, goal and assists in 10 contests. 79, the last season for the Nordiques, he had 26 points in 70 games, only 155 minutes and penalties, with 2 points in 4 playoff games. Now, 79-80, he kept with the Nordiques, even with the transition, one of the few players that did. 14 points in 63 games, with only 55 minutes and penalties. But he moved from Quebec to Edmonton, and as a protector of Wayne Gretzky, the numbers went up. Him and Semenko, of course. 58 games, 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points, and 153 minutes and penalties. He did his role that year and did it well. 82 with the Oilers, he only played 14 games with 2 assists, but had a lot of coverage and followers in Wichita for the Wind, the CHL. 38 games and 38 points in 47 games with 7 assists and 7 playoff contests. 83, luckily he found himself one last tour in the NHL, 1 goal in 6 games for St. Louis. In Salt Lake, 4 goals, 19 assists for 23 points for 137 minutes and penalties. And again, that was the end of his minor pro career. So a decent career, lot of good fights. He lost a few because technically he was more of a goal scorer. Very comparable, like a Dougie Risebrough that would fight. Could score a goal occasionally and, could finish off a play. That's what he needed. WHA totals, 265 games, 753 minutes and penalties, penalty minutes a game. 91 points, getting 41 goals. A little quieter in the NHL. 9 goals in 141 games. 26 points, 226 minutes in penalties, and two NHL playoff games, of course, both at Edmonton in 81. If I'm not mistaken, that would be either the Islanders or the Flyers. Either double check on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, WHA totals in the playoffs: 14 points in 48 games, including that big stretch with Nordiques, where he had 8 points in 17 games in 77. So a championship skater. Played with some of the most interesting WHA squads of his era, and not a full course with the WHA, but pretty close. Played from 73 to 79, and he was one of the faces of the WHA in the non-francophone stars in Quebec of the WHA. He was an English face of the franchise really for a while, and Quebec, those 5 seasons, the Quebec Nordiques should have a Hall of Fame, and I would put him in it because what he did to protect those players, there were some good skaters. Maybe didn't do enough to protect Tardif, but he brought him along to do the job maybe when other people couldn't. So, but what really stands out for me, ladies and gentlemen, this is just personally, is that 76 season. 365 minutes in penalties in 74 games. And, plus minus was decent as well. So, I mean, with Quebec, the Colisée was rocking when he used to have a get-to-few fight. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Winnipeg and Cleveland were his biggest opponents. Memory doesn't serve, anyway. So that's the story of Curt Brackenbury. That's the hockey story, but we have a second part and an add-on. Curt Brackenbury came to major prominence about, a few years after he retired from minor major hockey. He decided to take up his second favorite sport, competitive racing, boat racing, as we say. In '86, he was recruited to Canada's America's Cup Challenge team. The Canada 2 campaign, it was called. Now, he trained with the team vigorously in Victoria, BC, San Francisco, and Santa Cruz, California, and was chosen as part of the final crew to go to Australia to race for the Cup. And back then, America's Cup Challenge was quite huge, and it was good publicity for him, good publicity for our nation's America's Cup Challenge, and not to sound weird, ladies and gentlemen, the America's Cup was a big deal back then, so it'd be comparable to Tiger Woods crossing over to lacrosse. You don't see a golfer playing lacrosse. How often you see a enforcer in the WHA's golden era going into competitive sailing? It happens maybe twice a week, maybe once. Doesn't happen very often. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.